got like a blazer on today and I feel like super business and smart. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel for another Be Kind to Your Mind video / Q&A video. I asked you guys on Instagram to send me your self-care related questions because I get so many questions about self-care, given that it's one of the main things I talk about. And today I am going to be answering some of those questions in a self-care Q&A. So let's get started. If you are new here and this is the first video that you've clicked on my channel, welcome. My name is Laura and I am the illustrator and creator behind Laura Jane Illustrations on Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and here on YouTube. And my aim is to create content that helps you feel good about yourself. And self-care is definitely at the top of that list. I talk a lot about self-care practices on my Instagram page. So if you're new to self-care or you want to learn a little bit more about it, definitely go ahead and follow me over there. I'm also uploading this video in line with the launch of my first ever virtual workshop, which will be on the topic of self-care through the seasons, focusing on winter well-being this month, because obviously it is winter in my part of the world. So that's what we're going to look at. So if you want to find out a little bit more about my self-care through the season digital workshop, I will leave all of the details for that in the description box. Without further ado, let's dive into your questions, because if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I'm someone who tends to ramble on a topic, and there's some really great questions here. So let's start out with a question that talks about starting self-care. One of the questions that you guys asked was, how do you establish a self-care routine? I personally like using the word practice a little bit more, because practice makes perfect. Although self-care is not about being perfect, it's really about getting to know what you need yourself. And I think sometimes when you use the word routine around self-care, there's this idea that it has to be something you do on a specific day at a specific time, and that's not at all true. My advice around establishing a self-care practice or a self-care routine is to first of all look at the areas of your week where you tend to give yourself the least amount of time. So what is your busiest day of the week, and what is something that you can do for yourself on that day to fill back up your own cup? Equally, to look at the days in your week where your downtime is. So usually for most people that's the weekend, but obviously people have different working schedules, so you might have a day off in the middle of the week. And to really try and plan to do something on those days, again, that fills back up your cup and feels good. But basically my main point is, it doesn't have to be a scheduled routine. You don't have to plan to do the same thing every day at a certain time. It's much more about learning to respond to your own needs and giving yourself something during your downtime that will help you feel good and energized when you need to work, but also making sure that on the days that you really are drained or you've had a stressful day, that you give yourself something at the end of those days so that you have more time to relax and decompress, and therefore probably get a better night's sleep, and therefore probably be more energized and less stressful the next day. Next question moves on very nicely from that, which is, how do I find which self-care type is best for me? This is a great question, and it's one of my favorite things to talk about when it comes to self-care. I feel like a lot of people assume that self-care has to be something that you buy or purchase, that it's a spa day or a face mask or a bubble bath. And yes, sometimes those things are self-care, but they're not exclusively self-care. In my books, self-care is anything that helps you feel good. What that is completely personal to you, first of all, but it's also going to be different every day of the week, every week of the month, every month of the year, because you're going to go through different seasons, you're going to go through different experiences, and what makes you feel good and what your body needs are going to be different on those different occasions. So finding the best self-care for you really starts with learning to be present with yourself and practicing a little bit of self-reflection. My favorite thing to do when I'm not sure what self-care I need is to do a little bit of a body check. So sitting down with myself and physically doing a body scan, first of all, to see how I'm physically feeling. Are there any parts of my body where I'm holding tension? How am I physically feeling in terms of my energy levels? Another part of the body scan is to check in with your emotions and your mental feelings as well. So are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling worried? Are you feeling a little bit hyperactive, on edge? Or maybe you're just feeling happy and calm. So in combination with your physical feelings and your emotional feelings, you find an action that responds to them. So it might be on one day when you do your body scan that your feelings are needing more attention than your physical body. Maybe you're anxious and worried, and the response action to that might be doing some breathing or some journaling or whatever helps you when you're anxious. And other days you might need to respond to your physical needs in your body. Maybe you need to go and do some grocery shopping and get more fruits and vegetables, or maybe you need to go and talk to a doctor about your energy levels. Or, by the way, going to the doctor is self-care. Going to the dentist is self-care. If you're not sure what self-care should look like for you, stop looking to what other people are doing and start looking inward to yourself. The next question, again, is a great question, and it's something that I see coming up more and more online, which is, what's the best way to avoid self-care feeling like another item on the to-do list? If you feel like your self-care is another thing on your to-do list, then the self-care that you're probably prescribing for yourself isn't actually self-care. Self-care shouldn't ever feel like a task or a mountain that you're not looking forward to doing. There are occasions, for example, when what we know is good for us may not necessarily be what we want to do. So for example, physical exercise comes into that all of the time. We're told again and again by doctors, professionals, psychologists that the best thing that we can do for our physical and mental well-being is regular physical exercise because it's good for our bodies and it's good for our brains. We know it. It's a fact. However, we also work very hard, and many people feel a little bit run down and tired at the end of the day. And so doing the thing that we know is good for us isn't always the thing that we want to do. It's about finding that balance. If your self-care always feels like a task, then you need to reassess the activities that you're choosing to do for self-care. Go back, have that body scan, check in with yourself, check in with, why does this feel like a task? Try and identify that, and then try and find something else that might replace that will still be good for you, but will make you feel better about it. Ways to get yourself out of a rut / bad mood. The best thing to do in those situations is to stop what you're doing, walk away. Take a moment to pause and be present with yourself. Whatever you are doing, you can come back to. But if you keep trying to force yourself to do it while you're in this mindset, you know that you're not going to do your best work because you're not in your best state of mind. So first thing to do is to address that negative self-talk. We need to hit reset, refresh before we can go back to what we're doing. We need to get ourselves into a more supportive mindset. Something that I like to do to help myself return to a supportive mindset is writing a gratitude list. And then I'll spend a little bit of time reflecting on those things. I'll make myself a coffee or a tea. Maybe I'll go for a walk outside to get a change of scenery, and I'll think about these positive things in my life and try and get my mindset back onto a positive track. Last question, which isn't really specifically self-care related, but I feel like self-care can do a lot for that, which is how to boost my confidence. Anyone that says there is a solution to confidence is lying, because everyone goes through periods in their life when they feel really confident and periods when they feel the opposite of that, like not so confident. But there are definitely things that you can do through self-care to maintain that relationship with yourself. Something that I say all the time is the most important and the longest relationship that you will ever be in your life is the one that you are in with yourself. And I think that when I reflect on my experiences with lack of confidence and low self-esteem, it was those periods in my life when I didn't prioritize that relationship with myself. And as a consequence of that, I was often too hard on myself and unforgiving towards myself because I wasn't getting to know myself. So if it's body confidence that you're struggling with, get comfortable in front of the mirror talking to yourself. Look yourself in the eye and tell yourself the things about yourself that you like. Look at your body and look at the parts that maybe you're being unkind to and start to be more kind to them. Stop looking at them from what you think other people think and start thinking about what you think. I love my body because it's the place where I live every day. It supports me. It holds me up. I love my skin because it holds everything in. I mean, even a vague compliment, but trying to change that narrative that you have about yourself and taking that into the day with you. Keep a journal. Journaling has been a really big tool for me and my mental health and all areas of it. I have a whole video on journaling here on my channel if you want to go and check that out. But if you're struggling with your confidence, start to write notes to yourself in your journal for the days that you're having a low confidence day. Start to write pages full of compliments about yourself. Start to record those growth moments in your life and celebrate the things that you overcome. And then when you're having those low confidence days, go back and read those journal entries and try and put yourself back in that place where you're like, yes, I am the same person. Be forgiving to yourself. You're not going to have the same confidence every day. You're not going to be on your game in the same way every day. You're going to have bad days. You're going to make mistakes. Learn to forgive yourself for those, because when you do, then you're not looking at your mistakes as failures. You're not judging yourself for being human, but you're embracing yourself as you are and allowing yourself to try again the next day. I'm going to leave it at that because it was only 5 questions, but they were 5 amazing questions, and I feel like I've covered a lot in answering those questions as well. If you liked this video and you found it helpful, be sure to click the thumbs up button, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get reminders when new videos go up. If you have any more questions about self-care practices, self-care routines, or anything self-care related, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I would love to continue this conversation down there. That's all for me today. I hope you enjoyed this video because I really enjoyed creating it and having this conversation with you guys about self-care. I will see you again really soon.